outstanding young alum that I get to introduce you to is Dr. Anita Vila. And Dr. Vila has had a number of roles in her career. And by the way, she said multiple degrees from NC State, from bachelor's all the way through PhD. We're always excited when some of our bachelor's students from NC State go on to get PhDs. So she has worked at Amazon. She has worked for the department in the role of Director of Undergraduate Programs. In that role, she transformed a lot of things as the department was growing, and she impacted hundreds of students during her time in that role, and then moved away to California and came back fairly recently and has again been involved with both students and alums in participating in a variety of different ways. Dr. Vila, also one small fact for you, apparently she was a soccer player in high school, and I understand that she had plans to walk onto the soccer team at NC State, so trained for it, prepared for it, and then entered engineering and decided that engineering was a big enough commitment by itself, and she didn't need soccer as a formal sport to add to the list. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Anita Vila as our recent outstanding young alumnus from ISE.
I used to teach a class right before lunch, and this is what it feels like. Like I'm between everybody and the parties that are going on campus today. But thank you all. This is a great honor to be back. I think in reflecting, and as many of the previous winners stated, this is a good opportunity to think about what the department and the university contributed to your career. I also appreciate somehow being in the young category. So thank you for giving us a 20-year window you can just keep coming back, like Dr. Ivy says, and then reset your clock. But last night, I actually, in thinking about the last 20 years since I graduated from my undergraduate degree, I realized that I've spent half of my career since then at NC State. And I think that was a really amazing kind of light bulb moment to think about why that is. Why do you keep coming back? Why do we contribute to this department, to the university? And in thinking through that and what does industrial engineering mean to me, I came up with a couple of things. I think, as you guys have heard from all the awesome people before me, you can do anything as an IE. We have maybe, people might say there's an identity crisis of an IE because you can be anything. But I think it's a reinvention opportunity. And that's something that with all of the programs that you have the opportunity to participate in, and I'll talk about some of those from my experience, you feel like your career is limitless. And you feel like, I can do that, why not? Because you're taught to learn and be curious. And I think that's really one of the most important facets that the department continues to instill in students, in their faculty, and really making it feel like a family who is inspired to make an impact on the world, whether that is, advanced manufacturing, whether it's sustainable energy, whether it's healthcare that some of us today have gone into with these degrees. So let me take you back. Clarence Smith is not here today as he's having eye surgery. He called me up this week and he's like, "Hey, sweetie, I'm not going to be at your award." And I was like, "No, Clarence," because he is one of the people, and I was able to be his predecessor, who I felt over the last many, many decades of time had really started that fabric of a family in industrial and systems engineering. And at that time, you could go and lay on Clarence's couch to talk about the woes of statics and thermo and all these classes that you wondered why you had to get the bumps and lumps by taking, but that's all part of the experience. He created really an environment, the department at that time created an environment that was highly collaborative. I think, like others have noted, that isn't the same in every university, and I feel like that is really an important skill set that when you go into industry, you have to be able to collaborate. You have to be able to bring your powers as an IE to the team. So I had the pleasure of working on a multidisciplinary senior design project which sounds awesome, and then in reality gives you good opportunities to fight with the other engineering types on who's the best and who's contributing the most brain power to this project. And we had folks from the business school that we could fight with as well and come back to Clarence to complain about. But as NC State, we are recognized for the great student talent that we do churn out on a yearly basis. One of the really great things that we've done and continue to do is bring industries back into the university and expose our students to all of those opportunities. So through the career fair, which then I had the pleasure of coming back to recruit at a later time, I was able to find a job at Dell. And going into Dell Computers, moving across the country at that time, was a great experience to get into manufacturing and product development. And we have an amazing program here. The labs in the new Fitz Willard Hall, if you all have not been, are fantastic. And back in the day, 20 years ago, they were fantastic, though not as beautiful and shiny as they are now. And being able to fly to China, Malaysia, and go on manufacturing floors, and you've seen it before. You've touched machines, you've programmed some of these machines yourself. It gave you a level of confidence that I think the program really should be proud of, that we instill in our students. That practical experience that lets you take all of the concepts and the theories and be touching them and feeling them, I think is so, so important. It builds empathy for the people who do that work as an engineer. Often you're not getting your hands dirty in that same way. That practical experience, I think, is something that if you as an alumni have the ability to come and talk about the practical experiences that you have, give tours, sponsor projects, these are the things that I know from my past experience were really meaningful for me. So while I was at Dell, of course, that little itch that led me to try to graduate really quickly in 4 years and get out of here, even though it's a great place, but I was ready to dive into the workplace. That little learn and be curious sort of ball was there. And I thought, okay, I'm going to get my master's degree. And industrial engineering was still what I felt very passionate about while I was there. So I went to Texas A&M. At that time, that was a really amazing online program, which now we have as well at NC State. And I went through that program while working and decided in this reinvention mode that I had as an affliction, that I would come back for my PhD. And when I was little, my dad will remember, I had said I wanted to be a teacher. And he said, no. My parents were both engineers, and my mom was actually the one that suggested I be an industrial engineer. So she was right. But at that time, through that graduate experience, I decided I wanted to come back and make an impact on students. I had a real thirst for learning. I was seeing all these amazing problems in industry, and I was thinking back about my NC State experience and all the modeling and the tools and having space and time to do that. So after a brief stint at Duke that we don't have to dwell on, I came back to NC State. I called up Clarence. I'm like, hey, I don't think the Duke program is a great fit for what I want to do. Should I come back? I talked to Hodgson, I talked to others, and I ended up coming back to the department, which was a really interesting, as an adult, experiencing how the department feels. As an undergrad, it's very, very different. So I think in the family and collaboration skill set, they put us in a tiny little closet in park shops, and that made all of us grad students become very close very quickly. But really the environment was the same. It was still to collaborate, it was still to innovate, it was to find yourself and to reinvent yourself. And Dr. Ivy, she gets all the credit for helping me to find healthcare. I thought it was going to solve Dell problems, supply chain problems for high-tech products. And that was really exciting to me until I found healthcare. And that ability to pivot and to listen to yourself, to know that even if you know nothing about the field, that you can do it as an IE. We know enough to be dangerous in every facet, in every way. So just something I would say to the students, and when I come back and often talk both in E101 for the freshman engineers, as well as courses from undergraduate to graduate at NC State, it's about finding those moments that you recognize you're looking for something else and that you can do it. And so the PhD program, as Dr. Swan noted at the beginning, gave me the opportunity to then stay with the department, and I was here for 6 years. And it's so nice to see so many of my friends from the hallways of Daniels, right, where we were, and now you guys are over here. I never got to move into this building before I left. But I think a lot of what I learned, both from the undergraduate experience, the mentorship that's so necessary for our students today to feel the confidence that I feel, to tell them every time that I don't know what I want to be when I grow up and that I don't care. That's kind of a confidence level that this department helps to continue to reinforce and instill. And I think, again, as an alumni who does a lot of service back with the department, I feel like it's our role to continue to foster that through lots of different diverse interactions that the students have. So the last 6 years, I'll sum up to say that I've gone into product management and I've been leading teams both at Amazon Pharmacy, where I am today, and McKesson, which is another large healthcare organization, building tools that clinicians use, doctors, pharmacists, and oncology specifically in my prior role. And who thought an IE would be building software for physicians as their job? But I go back to this last point around reinvention. I think our department's doing a great job surfacing all of those opportunities to reinvent themselves constantly, because the world is constantly evolving as well. And for our students to feel that empowerment, that reinvention is part of their identity and is part of the value of the ISE degree. So I'll just wrap up by thanking my family. My kids they had a teacher work day today, so they got to sleep in for another few minutes and come to the event. My dad and my husband, Jason, who's a double E grad here, and we got to compete in many classes during our undergraduate time. So thank you all. Keep reinventing the department. Keep encouraging our students to do big things. I think that's the value that all of us can bring to those who will come ahead. So thank you all.